Well, man, great to have you here. Thank you for doing this, by the way. I always love I've never been so bad about doing case study stories. So
You get
bad.
so many positive reviews online though that you don't really even need them, in fairness.
I'm glad you see that because I just had this moment, the other day where I'm like, I need to start doing more of these. I don't feel like I have any like reviews anywhere. But then
Mhm.
clearly you're saying like, yeah, you do. And I feel
Yeah,
like that's
like
the,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, you got
okay,
loads.
amazing.
Yeah, and
I'll
to be
take it.
honest, like, so many people don't even believe them anymore anyway.
I know. And that's why I love doing these a little bit more, just because it's a little bit more like insight into what's happening. Because I find if you just see like, oh yeah, I got this result, it's like seeing the climax of a movie without seeing
Yeah.
any of the movie. It's like seeing Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader helping him up and killing the Sith Lord, right? But there's no context. Like it's
Mhm.
just like here's this beautiful ending, but how did they get there, right? Which is why I want to do these. So you've been in my world for a little while now. And when did you join Catalyst? It was like
It
February or
was
March or
it
something.
was no, it was the 15th of April because it was actually on my birthday.
Oh, April. It was your
Yeah.
birthday. Well,
It
that's
was. Do
amazing.
you remember you actually said to me, "Oh, I didn't realize it was your birthday. Happy birthday."
I love that. Well,
Yeah.
I hope it was a good birthday gift to join. Tell me what was going on like before, because I remember you were like you were running offers currently, but you're just looking for some help with some ads. But
Yeah.
like what was going on before?
So in January, I saw another marketer who was doing similar things to what you're doing now, and I got in through his micro offer, and it was good. And that lasted me until January, all the way up until I think the beginning of April. Um, but the problem with this other person was, whilst the method was working, he wasn't really giving much support, and also his general persona didn't seem like the sort of person I actually wanted to be taking as a mentor, sort of thing. Nothing wrong with him, just different ways of looking at the world, sort of thing. So what happened was I had all these questions and I had no one to ask, and I ran into all these obstacles, and I didn't know who to turn to. Um, and then your ads popped up, and truth be told, I saw the theme of it. I liked the feel of it. I didn't read that much of the ad. I just thought you look like a guy that is actually easy to talk to. So I took a risk with your micro offer, and I actually don't. I think I asked a question in the group, and you gave a really nice and sensible answer. You often get marketers giving like hyped up or slightly generic or unrealistic advice, or so many gaps in the advice, but you didn't. You actually gave a very methodical and nicely written piece of advice, and I thought, oh, that's good. And then I think I know what it was. I asked you for the ads training. So the next part of the ads training, you told me, and then I asked the question, you gave the advice, and you popped into my DMs with the catalyst. And no, it wasn't with the catalyst. It was with the other one, wasn't it?
Yeah, the collective. When I was
The collective, yeah,
playing with the idea of doing a
yeah.
one-on-one.
And I'll be honest, I nearly enrolled in it, but then I think because the price point at the time, it wasn't that it was out of reach. It was just I didn't know you that well at that point.
Yeah,
So I literally had like two interactions with you at that point. So I was like, and then you mentioned the catalyst, and I thought, you know what, let's just do it. I took that plunge, and yeah, that's how we did it. Yeah.
easy, man.
That's how it
So
was.
what was your offer you were running? Was that the overnight ranking system one?
Yes. So at the time, yeah, that's my first offer that I started seeing some okay results from.
Cool, cool. And then what was the big goal you were trying to get out of the catalyst? Because I know obviously getting front end offers is great. The thing I've drilled into your head over the past few months is that the money is made on the back end.
Yeah.
So what was when you kind of came in, what was the big thing you were looking for to get to that next level?
Um, the- well, number one, money was always a big thing, always a big thing because I lost quite a lot of income over the past 12 months. So that was a thing. But more importantly, I've been I've been in marketing for like the past 10 years or so now, which makes me sound really old because I'm only 30, but I've been marketing since like I was 19, 20. And the, whilst I was always good at specific things, I never had the complete process from idea to execution to then driving the traffic and then the follow up and kind of like that whole the complete picture sort of thing. It was always like bits and bobs that I was doing, and I always felt like I was missing something. And then I might figure out how to do that little thing well or not so well, but then it's like, oh, actually, no, there's something else missing, which tells me that actually I wasn't focusing on the right thing. And I've been in this limbo for the past 10 years. So when I joined the Catalyst, yes, it was money, but actually I was trying to get the full picture, kind of like what you were doing, which is you came up with that idea, you ran traffic to it, and then you had this follow-up system, this very nice non-salesy follow-up system that was based more on value to the customer rather than you're aligning your own pockets. And well, there's an element of that anyway, but yeah, so it was that complete circle, and that's what I was really missing, and that's what I was hoping to get from it. And uh, whilst I'm, not, whilst I'm still in and out of that whole circle right now, I've managed to at least complete the circle. So now I know that actually I am capable of it, and I am able to do it. I just need to refine it a bit more now.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember recently you just got your first productized offer sale, which was huge
I
because
did, yes, that is
you were
huge.
going.
Yeah.
I remember when we were going back and forth, and this is the thing I find is when someone like you comes in and you have all of these like skills, and I hope you don't hear my little one in the background, but we got the AI thing
No.
going. So yeah, Crisp is great. Uh, um, the when you come in with a big skill stack, right? Like a huge stack of
Mm,
skills, and you're like, I'm not really sure what direction, and I'm thinking, hey, maybe go this way, or you could go this way. And it's funny because I remember you came in and you're thinking, yeah, it would be, my whole expertise is, basically putting on short form videos and content and driving traffic to affiliate offers. And now you've kind of almost done like full circle to now helping people do that. And it's
well,
so fun.
ironically, I didn't actually recognize that as one of my main skills until you pointed that out to me, because I was so focused on all the other things that I actually missed like the core mechanisms of what businesses actually need. And I didn't realize that I was already doing, and without being egotistical, a really good job at like the basic needs of what a business actually needs, which is traffic. Businesses need eyeballs. They don't need a lot of eyeballs. The more eyeballs, the better, in a way. But they need eyeballs, and it's also one of the biggest things that businesses actually struggle with. Yet, I was
100%.
focusing, but this is something that I've got the mindset or the ability just to do it with. I wouldn't say ease, but uh, easier than some. And I didn't recognize that that's actually one of my USPs, despite having the assets of Crone and everything and all of that. It's just like I was focusing on automation, I was focusing on building websites. I was doing all of these random things that were cool and gimmicky in a sense, but it didn't target the true desire of the business owner. And that's where you really helped me focus. Yeah, just brought a lot to the surface. Yeah.
It's often those things that is so easily dismissed. It's the things that come really easy to us that we think are just everyone's good at, and it's goes across the board in any industry, in any
Mm,
profession. And for some reason, yeah, we got to lean into those things because yeah, you're phenomenal at what you do. And anyone that wants
thank
to
you.
get good at short form video, like go check out Marty's stuff. Got my full recommendation because yeah, you have like even what you're showing me on your YouTube stuff is incredible. I'm like, oh, that's a really good idea to just, like tag along to something that's trending in a very unique way for in a B2B fashion, not like talking about something political as an example
Mm,
to, try to get in there, but actually in like to generate traffic for a business. It's really damn good at what you do. So I'm glad that you've kind of made this back and been coming back to your roots because that's going to be like within the few months you've been here, you've done a lot actually. So tell me a little bit about like I think you've what launched 2 or 3 offers now for micro offers and then even more mid-ticket
yeah,
stuff, right?
yeah. So I've done. I think I am. I've actually launched 3 micro offers and refined stuff as well. I've done 4 workshops so far, and I'm currently working on my 5th. I've just launched my latest micro offer. Um, but it's so much more than that though, because it's like I can't emphasize the focus that goes beyond all of this, because like you teach such simplicity when it comes to the offer side of things, to the point where it's like, yeah, just put the offer on a Google document and you're done. You don't need the fancy rubbish here and there. Simplicity is it. So
Hmm.
since in the past few months, I remember like I've been doing this for like 10, well, not this specifically, but online stuff for like 10 years. So in the past 3 months versus 10 years, I've come into the Catalyst and I've focused my main skill set. I've then had to learn how to phrase things properly. So the copywriting side of things, which you've been phenomenal at, I think that's one of your superpowers. I've learned like these fine details that you don't even think of, like placing an arrow on a button because people don't recognize that it's a button, and or not putting full stops at the end of a sentence because it's stopping them in their tracks, and these fine details that truly make a massive difference. So yeah, I've managed to launch all these micro offers, but I think more importantly, I've managed to come up with the ideas and the execution. You've helped me stay accountable, and I've managed to launch all of these things because I've not gotten into my own head, because I've not uh, allowed myself to procrastinate with your help, and yeah, so that it's it's easy for me to say, yep, 3 to 4 micro offers and 4 workshops working my 5th, but it doesn't do it justice to of what I've really done, and again with your help, yeah, so a lot, basically a lot.
Love that. No, that and that's huge, right? And that's always the biggest prescription I give to people is it's just like keep things really simple and launch. And I remember I was just talking to a client that literally pulled up this huge mind map of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do all these offers and we're gonna have this upsell flow. And I just said, like, delete everything here
Mm,
because if that offer doesn't work, the rest of your mind map doesn't work. And
yeah,
so I always say, like, exactly like what you're doing, just keep it really simple and create an idea and you can put some ads behind it or send traffic from your organic list and
mm,
just see if you can get some validation. Like that's the
yeah,
fastest path, right? And I think you've been one of the people that have just adopted that so well because the nice thing too is you've been in this exploration phase of like where do I want to go? But you've been exploring not just by thinking about it, like you've been exploring by launching different offers and seeing like
yeah.
what do I like? And you started doing these channel audits now for people on the organic side, and you're like, I'm actually enjoying this process, right?
I do
So
enjoy it, yeah.
tell me a little on that side because I think having fun in the business is incredibly important. And I was just talking to I brought on this copywriter to help with a few things, and he's working with some 8-figure gurus. And one of the things he
Mm,
said, which was like, I really enjoy working with you because you're just like all these guys, they're so stressed all the time, like they're just stressed out all the
yeah,
freaking time. But you just like have this great chill vibe about you and you want to get things done and grow but like at the same time you're not like aggressively stressed. So how have you found that, especially now that you got your first productized sale and you're gonna like probably continue doubling down on that. How do you feel
Hopefully.
about like yeah. Well,
Yeah.
how do you feel about
Yeah.
kind of like the fun and the direction of the business compared to where you were kind of in this direction of just like I'm not sure which way to go, and you've been doing this for a while too. So what have you
Yeah.
felt as far as coming into the Catalyst and really adopting the model in your life and how it impacts your day to day?
So I am a highly anxious person. So, and I'm also introverted as well. I've been spending like the past 10 years turning myself into what we call a social introvert. So, um, it's funny. Everything I've done for the past 10 years has tried to remove me from working with people on a one-to-one or a group basis. That's why I like video and what's not. But seeing the way that you've done things and seeing the Catalyst community, it's actually reshaped my mind because it's allowed me to think to myself, well, what if I actually attract other introverts? Because extroverts can trigger an introvert, and an introvert can trigger an extrovert. So what if I, like you've done, choose the people that I'm actually happy working with, or who don't trigger my weird complexes and stuff like that. That I think, and by starting to think in more of the terms of, yeah, I've actually, I don't need to be super passive in the way I do business, which was stunting my growth because I wasn't working with people. Um, I don't need to be passive. I can actually just choose my audience. And the scariest thing about that is, or back, I imagine previously for myself was because I didn't have a model to follow or a working model that would allow a uh, people coming in and people going out on a regular basis, it made it very difficult to be selective with who you're going to pick in the community. So I think by watching the way you've done things, going from me being super anxious to working with people, now it's like actually I'm quite looking forward to uh, reviewing someone's channel because I'm actually really confident in all of it. Like, I've actually grown assets to a. I was looking online, and only 1% of businesses are actually able to grow organically the way I have. So it's like I'm actually really very confident in this, and I enjoy it. And I think I'm actually quite good at explaining somewhat complicated things into something quite simple. And that's like you. That's what I'm all about. So, um, yeah, I think it's completely changed my mindset, and I do look forward to it. I've got my first mentoring group on Monday, so I'm a bit anxious with that, but that's only because I've not done it before. But I'm doing
Yep.
it. Like I'm doing it. So, and it's also not just with that, but with my workshops, for example. I used to dread thinking, "Oh, I've got to have every little thing planned out." But now I just come up with the overall idea. I'll literally create an outline just so I know that I can actually serve the workshop, and then I'll start promoting it. And I literally create the workshop like 3 days before the actual
Amazing.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, like
That's the way.
like that's it. Like my last workshop, I was charging $100 per person, and I got 25 people enrolled. And that was from 2 weeks of promotion, no paid ads. It was literally through my email list, but they were
Amazing.
from paid ad people. And I was just like, well, like that was 25 people that paid $100 for a workshop that hadn't even created. They just loved the idea of it. And then I created it 3 days before because I already had the money in the bank. So I didn't need to, you know, waste time. And in the background, I was planning my next micro off and I was planning my next workshop and I was refining all the things. So yeah, I'm feeling very, very positive with it all and a bit more confident with the direction. Sorry for the really long-winded answer.
No, that was beautiful. I wanted to share this really quick with you too, because I think this is great. And hits on that exact point about kind of walking in and knowing what to do. So I love this Michael Singer quote, and I have this as one of my desktop backgrounds. And this is when he was teaching at university, and he was just basically this like at the time this like hippie that lived in the woods and like walked into class one day saying he was like just coming off a spiritual binge that he went into class without shirt without a shirt and just taught for like an hour. And like people chuckled and he's like, are we just gonna do like, are you guys gonna laugh or are we gonna sit here and teach? But I love this line. And whenever I'm like feeling that unsure, it's like there'd not be a single thought about the class or what would be taught in them until I was time to enter the classroom. I intended to walk into the first class with a completely empty mind. I wanted to be like the time I wrote the paper completely by inspiration. We'll just go into class and see what comes out. And
Mm,
oftentimes, I feel like when teaching, and bringing that energy, it's like it's not just you, right? It comes off the other people
mm,
too. This was a great lesson I learned about how to just show up and not going in with any expectations. Or oftentimes our brain does this weird thing. Like, you ever think like if you lose something, you're like it got stolen, the first thing that comes up? Like I've
mm.
had that before, and it's that crazy thing in our brain that tells us like always puts in the worst case scenario. So I always come back to this over and over again because it's such a powerful line about the importance of just starting fresh every
Very
single
much so.
time. Like
Yeah.
this Monday is different than last Monday, right? It's a brand new
Mm,
day every single day, right? So that would be my one piece to you is if you're worried about it, don't even think about it until Monday starts, right? That's
mm.
the best
Yeah.
way. Um, I love that explanation too, and I love that you're starting to roll out like all these workshops and really embrace the model. Where like if you're cool with sharing number wise, would love
Sure.
to hear kind of before Catalyst to now as far as like with your numbers. Because I remember when you came in, you were extremely dependent on micro offers and some affiliate stuff for income. And
Mm.
then you've now started to do like a lot, you're launching regular workshops, you're doing micro offers, and now you're getting the productized piece down. What have
Sure.
you
Okay.
seen like income wise in comparison to before, during, after, if you're comfortable sharing?
Um, yeah. So from January to uh, I'll say beginning of April, because between the beginning of April and the 15th, there was kind of a pause because my ad account got got taken away from me. But I think I generated like five and a bit $1,000 in sales. I don't remember the exact profit of that, but $5,500 from fairly new offer was, I think, was quite good.
Hmm?
And then from the 15th of April until now, I've done nearly $19,000 in sales, which is from micro to uh, workshops. Um, that's not from mentoring programs. So that's literally that. In terms of my investment with you, I've more than doubled it. So, uh,
Amazing.
yeah. Um,
That's a
yeah,
big four
I've,
month shift, man.
yeah.
Congrats. I hope you
So
give yourself
in,
a pat on the back for that.
uh, not yet, I will, but
You should. You
from,
got to celebrate every little milestone. Every
and
dollar counts.
in terms of customers, or well, actually buying customers applying this method, um I think since I'm going to say since January, from January to April, I would say maybe there was like 200 customers I generated, but from
Okay.
April till now, which is when I joined you, I've done a total, so this is of just under 900 customers into my
Amazing.
ecosystem. So that's like an additional 700 customers from implementing what you're doing. And I also want to just emphasize as well that I had an email list which was stupid in size, really, really big email list, but it was garbage. And the reason it was garbage was probably because, well, of a number of things. Number one, there was a lot of really poor quality leads on that email list. Also, those email lists were years old that I never really communicated with. And I also think I had a really, me being tech savvy, but maybe not as tech savvy as I thought I was, I had an issue with my bespoke email server that I built. But you you told me, look, just change email server and go from there. I did, but I actually got rid of all of my older leads from previous stuff over the past 10 years. I just focused on the new customers. So a lot of these sales have in fact been coming from a customer list of like, well, at the time was less than 900 emails in the system. Um, but because you taught me a general way of emailing them and talking to them, and how I can do daily emails without seeming spammy, and how I can just incorporate it into my daily life, that that changed a lot. That really changed a lot. So yeah, I know those numbers are big, and I know they're good, and I'm making a ton of progress, more progress than I've made in a long time, because I was feeling a bit burnt out before joining the Catalyst. But I think that flame has come back, or at very least starting to come back. I just need to keep going. Yeah.
Amen. What was the yeah, I was just chatting with Desi about this actually on Wednesday with her case study call, and she was saying the burnout piece too. What do you think the difference is between really adopting the catalyst model, that's you're feeling like the wave of going in the right direction, versus what you were doing before? Because Desi came in and she was saying like she was just riding, actually in a similar sense, like just focusing entirely on organic,
Mm.
and was just really starting to burn out because she's like, I need these people to buy my thing or else I'm screwed
Yeah.
this month,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was
I
like
know the feeling.
that like feeling like high ticket, ride or die. This is the
Mm.
end all. Like if they're not purchasing my high ticket offer, I'm screwed, right? So what have you felt and experienced like after, especially just on that side of things, like shifting to the catalyst model and the productized coach model versus like where you were in that like state of burnout of like trying to piece the puzzle pieces together and getting it all down?
So I think this will be different for everyone, but for me, I get an absolute buzz from um, doing things that society tells you that you can't do, or is too hard to do, or you need massive budgets or stuff like that. Where from school we're taught to go, that we need we need the certificate so we can get a good job and stuff like that. And I'm just like, but I don't want to go get myself in debt for that amount of time. Um, so I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to try and find my own way to do it. And then the general idea of systemizing things, that really, I'm such a nerd, but that really excites me. It's one of the reasons I loved automation. So learning a new system that works, and works very well, like the Productized method, um, is like, wow, that's exciting, because that gets to free up my life. I get to create a system that not only gets to free up my life, but you also create a fan base, which is always nice. And you get people, not that they're relying on you, but they're also thanking you just for being you, just for sharing your knowledge. And I think, yeah, as a marketer who's been doing this, not this specific, but doing things for 10 years, I've always done it on my own. So no one truly appreciates or understands the amount of work and effort or insight that you need in order to accomplish specific things. So being part of a community like the Catalyst, where whilst there's people in different niches and what we've all got this one goal, and we're all talking the same language, and we're all appreciating each other's feedback, and it's so refreshing for someone like me anyway to be part of a community that's like, yeah, we want the same thing. That's awesome. And then you don't get yourself into chit chat and stuff like that. You're talking about things that are going to develop you, develop your offers, develop everything you're doing. And even if you choose not to talk in the group calls, or you don't want to post comments and stuff, simply, I mean, I think I've attended almost every single
Yes,
lesson,
definitely.
you know. And the reason for it is because I find it so motivating, simply listening to people trying to do the same goal. And sometimes just shutting up and actually listening, they think of things in different ways. And then Zach will often, oh, sorry, Zach, I'm talking third person. You will often
You're
talk
great.
to each individual member a certain way, because that's the way that they're talking to you. And hearing you say maybe the same thing over and over, but in different ways, hammers down the message for me even more. Constantly having these aha moments, or these, and it's like, you have so much knowledge about what you do, it's impossible for you to give all of that knowledge in one session. So really, I'm a fool for not coming to every single session and listening to you say the same thing or different things or the same thing but in different ways. And it, yeah, and then also being around the same sort of people, that gives you inspiration for new offers. Yeah, what are they struggling with? And maybe my audience is also struggling with that. So there's so much to it, and I think that's yeah. Hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah, man, that's so good. And I'm glad that I know you, I would say you definitely get the award for being the most consistent of showing up, which is great because I love it when people actually utilize the tools. And versus silently suffering, and I
Mm,
never want people to silently suffer. I give as much as I can to Catalyst folks, and I just want you guys to all win. That's always my goal. And so I'm so happy that you're showing up and getting insight from those calls. That's like the biggest thing. I know you've been in this game for 10 years. What has been what you just hit on was great. Is there anything specific you'd like to point out about how the experience in the Catalyst is compared to like other coaching programs or different things you've been through?
um, you're really hands-on, and often I've yet to see you, which you probably have, but with someone like me, for example, who is very pedantic with things, who is very all guns blazing and often can be overwhelming, um, you're very patient, and that's a big thing for me. Um, you when you respond to people, and these are the things that stand out to me. By the way, I'm not just saying this. Otherwise I probably would have left a long time ago. But when you explain things, you you take your time to explain it. If a long answer is needed, you will go the extra mile. I think one of the first things that you did, because I was stressing about my ad account, was you actually created a video going through your own ad account. Very impressive, by the way. And you're going through your own ad account, and you're just showing me your general setup and how you do things. And to have someone do that and just be like, no, no, it's okay what you're feeling, but this is how it should be done, or this is how I do it. Just copy that. And then also, you're not. I know it sounds weird, but I find a lot of coaches will sometimes compete with their students, where you're just like, no, just go copy, just copy what I'm doing. It's okay just to copy the layout or copy the text or copy the structure sort of thing. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you, and if I can give you the frameworks that are working for me, I'm gonna do that as well. And I've seen you do that over and over, which is really quite remarkable, because I know most marketers don't want to show assets that are actually making them money because of saturation. But you're just
Yeah.
like, you're confident enough in your own abilities and your own systems, and you recognize that people, and you've also told me this, that it doesn't matter if people are copying you, because they're buying you, and every individual can't be replicated. Sure, the system can, but the individual can't. So whilst there might be loads of people just like you doing the same sort of thing, there isn't anyone like you doing what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that's so true, and that's what I always hit home on it with Naval's quote is like you escape competition through authenticity, and
Mm,
that's the biggest thing is that someone could literally like copy your stuff, and it happens to me all the time. I see like people copying my ads and all this stuff, and I just don't care. Like it doesn't matter, right? I know
mm,
like the way I show up is the way I show up, and I'm gonna just own that. And if something needs to be reinvented, then exactly like what you said, I'll just test it, put my own money against it, and be like, all right, folks, this is what I figured out is working, and
mm.
help other people in a few different industries make sure it works for them too, and then say, okay, this is the way, right? Which is half the battle is just testing. With me, it's like I'll just spend my own money and test it, and if it works, you all can use it. Like
Yeah.
that's my whole philosophy behind it.
There was actually something you did which I thought was crazy, and that was like, you hired another guy to analyze your sales page, because you just sometimes don't have the time, or you just wanted to get an additional thought process of someone who's on your level or maybe beyond your level. And instead of just keeping that private, you encouraged all of the Catalyst members to come and join in that meeting. And
Mhm.
just from that, I actually there was quite a few things that were really interesting from that. But that was just like, yeah, other coaches don't do stuff like that. Like other
Yeah.
people don't do that. They don't even think about doing stuff like that because they're meant to be the authoritative one. They're meant to be the
Mm,
one who knows everything. But this is real life, and
yeah.
you don't need to know everything. You just need to know more than what I know about that specific
Yeah.
thing. You know.
And the only way I'm going to do that is just showing you like what I'm experiencing, right? So I don't want to ever hold anything back. And I think one of the best things I love to do is just talk about what doesn't work because enough people don't talk about that. And if like something doesn't work, you should know about what's not working just as much as you should know what's working because
Mm,
obviously having just a one-sided conversation is just going to lead people down the wrong path when they actually they're like, oh wait, like this doesn't work for this situation or this doesn't work because of this, and they don't realize that because I'm not talking about it, right?
mm,
So as much as figuring out what's working, it's about what's not working or what needs updating or what needs changing and what's happening in markets because markets shift all the time, and it's just being on top of those things, which is the way to get consistent sales. That's the big thing, is like consistent daily sales.
yeah.
um, yeah, man, that's such a great way of putting it, and I really appreciate this so much. This has been wonderful. Is there anything else you wanted to say, just to anyone thinking about joining, and any last words?
Yeah. I think if you're going to join the Catalyst, most of us, especially if we've been doing it, not this specifically, but we're all an expert in the things that we're an expert in. And sometimes we've purchased courses through shiny object syndrome. Sometimes we get desperate and we invest in loads of things that don't quite work out well, or maybe they work for other people but they don't never work for you, the individual. What I'll say is that I was one of those people, probably still am in some senses. And if you find someone, a mentor, to who will actually take the time to talk to you, who will take the time to properly look at things and guides you, but also speaks your language, because we all speak the same language, but none of us speak the same language. We talk on different levels. So finding that mentor who talks on your level is hugely important. For me, Zach is one of these people. I would say take the plunge, jump into the catalyst, go full guns blazing, listen to everything they say, even if it contradicts your own processes and what's not. Listen, be open-minded, and more importantly, try, because if we're not trying new things, our competition are. So, and Zach's been really, really good in this way for me. And I've been in the Catalyst for like 3+ months now. I've got results from it. It's paid for everything. It's paid for itself over. And I've seen other members also benefit from the advice that Zach gives in the Catalyst as well. So if you're thinking about it, stop thinking about it and act, only if you're ready to actually act on your own outcome as well. Yeah,
Well, man, I appreciate that. This has been so good. Thank you so much,
no
and
worries.
appreciate you sharing your story and your insights. And I'm excited to now. The next stage for you is just getting. You've got the offer piece in the front end and the mid ticket working. Now we're just going to help you get that productized offer, and I
Yeah.
bet the next. I mean, you've done so much in 4 or 5 months here. I'm excited for the next 4. So it's going to be a good
Oh yeah,
quarter.
I've only just started. I've only just started.
Yeah. It's amazing, and again, give yourself a huge pat on the back because it's I'm guiding, but you're the one doing it, and I'm super happy for you, man. I'm super happy for
Thank
you.
you. I
So
appreciate that.
excited to be along the ride for your journey here, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I will catch you all around.